frames. Worth knowing. Okay. Now I'm just advancing rapidly through these frames to have a look. Now what we're doing is having a look at how the fly-through animation looks. Yeah, it's starting to look pretty cool. So you carry on building it with keyframes, advancing the frame, doing the I key to insert a new keyframe, and also we can also move, as I mentioned in an earlier tutorial, we can move the empty around, so the camera will actually follow the empty. But you have to have a keyframe set as a start keyframe, so we press I, put in a keyframe, advance the frames by using the cursor keys. I've now up at frame 90, and I move the empty to a new position. Now you can move the empty quite a long way, because it's only going to make the camera rotate, and it's going to rotate towards the position of the empty. Okay, so now if we step through the animation, you can see the animation take place. So you can continue adding and adjusting your animation. I haven't done any roll on the camera, any tilt on the camera, but you can do that as well if you wanted to make your camera look as if it was an airplane tilting and banking is the correct word, I guess, to use. I haven't done that, but you could add that. I don't want to add too much complication when you're just really learning about animation in Blender. So it's a case of this. Remember the sequence. Advance your keyframe to the place where you're going to put the next stop point, as it were, or the next location. Move your object, in this case the camera, to that location. Left click to confirm. I key, insert, location, rotation. Although you can't see it on the screen here, I'm looking to the right. I'm looking actually to the camera view to see the position where we are. Insert key, location, rotation. You can see I'm quite close now to the target empty. It's caught up with the target empty, and it's rotating downwards looking at the building, which looks pretty cool. Advance the keyframe, advance the frames again. I to insert key, location, rotation, and you can, at any point, if you want to render it to see how it's going to look at that point in time, which is we're near the end of our fly through, this short fly through we're doing. That's how it's going to look. It's kind of flown over the central building, or not the central building, but rather the building where the empty is nearest. And okay, now if we come down now to go to the scene button, you'll notice that our end frame, as I said, was about 180. So if we have a bit of a pause at the end, if we set it to say the end is going to be 185. Down here in the animation section, you see the end is currently set to 250. So let's change that. We need to change that to the end of our animation. I didn't set this earlier because I wasn't sure exactly how long it was going to be. We set the end to 185 frames. Now if we come up to the camera view and we've pressed Alt A, and it actually will not render, but it will step through your animation for you from beginning to end and loop, which is very handy, very cool. When you're setting up an animation, you can actually see how it's going to look, get a good idea. It just keeps cycling through. Press Escape to end that anytime you like. Step back through the animation. You can press F12 to render individual frames until you're happy that you've got all the animations set up how you want it to look. Okay, now we're actually going to output this animation. Over here, I think we've mentioned this before, but there may not have done, they're preset sizes, or you can manually set the size. We're going to still render it at 50% of the size, but here, look, it's still set to JPEG for still images. We need to set it to a video output. We've set it to AVI codec, and then codec is a compression algorithm, and there will be some installed on your system, and it'll prompt you for which one you want to use. I'm using the Microsoft Windows media compression, and we also need to set where we want the video to go to, the output location. On the output screen there, we get the normal file selector come up when we click on that. We don't want to go into the TMP, we want to actually choose a location. So you can either choose a folder you've already got, or create one from this screen here. We can actually put in the full path. I haven't shown you this before. C:// what should we have? Blender, what should we call it? I'm trying to remember what else I've got on my machine. Blender test. is a good folder name, and video, another folder under that, make directory. So we've got Blender test video, and then we can put in a file name in the bottom box. I guess test. Okay, we'll call it city2_test. Click on the select output pictures button, and if we scroll down now, you'll see that the output has been set. You'll see at the bottom there to Blender test video city2 test. I mean, you can choose a location that you want. And then we've been using the render buttons to the left here, these render buttons just for still images, but there's also this animation button, start rendering a sequence. You click that, and what happens then is, as you can see here, you do frame counter on your cursor, changes to a frame counter, same as it did when you did Alt A to step through this scene automatically, but now it's actually rendering them in the quality render, frame by frame. Can take a long time if you've got a large video. If you've got a lot of ray tracing going on, it could take a horrendously long time. So this is why we tend to want to cut down on the amount of ray tracing and the things that would slow the system down. Now when we've got, I've actually cheated there and paused this video. If you then press the play button, you get a preview of your animation. It's going to be very choppy and jumpy because remember, I'm running a screen capture program here, but you can see that it's saved that video, and it's actually then playing it for you from its memory at the moment, but that video has also been saved to disk to the output location that you specified. Okay, once you finish watching that, press the escape key and it stops it. I want to show you something else here now. On the screen type window here, which we looked at in the first tutorial, there's an IPO editor. IPO stands for interpolation, and it actually shows, if you've got the camera selected or any object that's got animation selected, it shows the keyframes in a graphical format. And you can do various things with these, which we're not going to cover in this tutorial. I just want you to know that they're there. When you read other tutorials or see other people, hear other people talking about IPOs, this is what they're talking about. Interpolation. You can scale them, you can move them around. As I say, it's also, if you want to clear the animation, you can delete points. If you want to clear the animation from an object, you can select them with the A key. You can scale, like I'm doing here with the S key. So you can, if you've got your animation but it's a bit too short and you want to extend it by a few hundred frames but keep the sequence the same, you basically can scale up all of the IPO keys. That really concludes the introduction to animation. Animation is very, very sophisticated, much more sophisticated than I've shown here. Blender is capable of extraordinary animation feats, which this tutorial doesn't really show you, but it gets you started. And we'll be doing some other animation, particularly with the Dalek and with the X-Wing, just as an introduction to various other ways of animating within Blender. Blender is a fantastic program, I think you'll agree.